versus INnoVation, the Team EZ. We've all been waiting for the rematch from Season 1 Finals. And this is going to be good. Both these guys are in the middle of the standings. Who do you think is going to take this one, Reed?
You know, it could go either way, Valdez. It's hard to bet against INnoVation. You just look at his stats, look at the head-to-head, 17-7. That's historical, though. And coming into this game, INnoVation's coming off of getting dominated in the Masters Coliseum playoffs against Dark. We got 3-0'd by Dark there. But historically against Solar, especially when you think about the last time they faced off in the finals here, wow, that just looks not great for Solar. However, Solar's versus Terran stats lately have been insane. He just finished beating Alive and INnoVation in the, or it was Alive and Gumiho in the GSL group, Group A, and looks super stacked against Terran. He's got great build orders. Which INnoVation shows up today? Is this the post-GSL versus the World Sleepy INnoVation? Has he downloaded the right patch for today? Who knows?
I'm feeling the INnoVation hype still. I think when it comes to these best of threes, you know, Solar, he can take out Alive, he can take out Gumiho, but he has to take it one step further to prove me wrong and to prove it to me. He has to take out INnoVation. Tonight, my eggs are going to be in the INnoVation basket, but Solar, he is on the ropes, and he is sitting at 3-4. As you guys can see, his record down in the bottom right. It hasn't been all clean for him this season around. He
managed to advance perfectly out of an all-Terran GSL group, but when you look at his SSL stats versus Alive, versus Maru, it just does not look that great. So versus Terran here, he's been struggling a little bit. However, I would still say that this is going to be a great final game because it should be pretty even. Neither one of these players totally faltering, both with strengths and weaknesses when you look at it statistically, but even if you consider just our last series, anything can happen. You never know until the game starts. He's first in achievement rank. Oh, INnoVation. You just can't be second at anything. He's got his first place win earlier on this year against this guy, Solar. He's first in achievement rank. Oh my god, just looking so good. However, he has taken a lot of losses here. He lost to Dark earlier on 1-2, and of course most recently, like I said, in the Masters Coliseum Finals, 0-3 to Dark. So maybe Dark's his kryptonite, but he has to face off against Solar, a very different brand of Zerg.
These two guys, as has been the theme of the night, they're going at it in chat. And they're talking about their win rates on Abyssal Reef, which is actually going to be the first map here. Solar has not even once voted for Abyssal Reef. He loves other maps. He loves Odyssey. He likes Overgrowth and Ascension to Iron. But not Abyssal Reef. This was INnoVation's first choice, and he's going to get it in prime time in game number 1 against Solar.
What is that INnoVation face? He's patching right now, guys.
He's showing emotion. What's going on?
Whoa, man, we got some updates flickering on our screens. I don't even know. I mean, we all know what happens when Flash's face twitches. That was a little bit of a meme. But now we've got the INnoVation here in front of us, taking on Solar in game 1.
Fly better fly,
Jin Air.
We've got it down pat. Up here on the top left, it is Solar.
There he is. Large task ahead of him against this guy, our blue Terran player, INnoVation. Yishin Hong now has returned back to his calm state. Both players with insane APM to start the game.
They got to micro their drones and their SCVs. You know,
Overlords.
Yeah.
That Overlord micro.
Zerg gets one extra unit early on. It's not fair.
Absolutely broken. Imagine if I could move my supply depots across the map and scout with those.
Unbelievable.
I tell you, gotta buff those things.
Maybe someday. I was talking about the win rate of Solar in SSL. He's sitting at 3-4. Not necessarily the same kind of score he had in Season 1, where he did make it into playoffs in 4th place and actually fought himself through the gauntlet to face the king of Season 1 in the finals, INnoVation, who was waiting for whoever would come up, and Solar happened to be the guy that went up against him, did go down 0-4, and now INnoVation here, he hasn't had the cleanest Season 2, right? It's not his Season 1 run where he was up at the top. He went 7-2. He destroyed pretty much everyone that he came into contact to, and even destroyed Solar in the finals. Now he's sitting at 4-3. He needs to win a couple more games to have a chance of making it into the playoffs, especially because the top of Season 2 is so just packed with fantastic players that have great scores so far.
Yeah, absolutely. You really do need to pick up your wins because we only have one more week following today's games for our players to solidify their standings into the playoffs. And I love Gauntlet playoffs too because it really does reward how you finish your season. Last season, INnoVation just took a quick trip. He was in the fast lane to the finals. This time around, not quite the case. He is going to be struggling to keep himself in contention here for the playoffs.
He's going to be hoping that Dark can lose another game because Dark is sitting at 5-3. INnoVation currently 4-3. If he wins this one, he would tie Dark in 4th place. So that's the situation he's hoping for. Needs the win tonight.
Very important. Getting the scout out earlier on, that Reaper expand helping him out. Wouldn't be surprised to see Hellions out here, but that's not quite going to be what we go for unless he finishes the reactor and lifts it. Okay, there it is.
You really want these Hellions, man.
So does INnoVation. It's just a really solid Terran opener. Hellions into Cloaked Banshee. I saw it 8 series in a row a few hours ago when I was casting the Kings of the North qualifiers. It was just every single TVZ. Double Hellion into Banshee seems to be the play.
Will it be the Banshees this time or the Raven? I think we saw Alive.
Yeah, it was Alive that went for the double Raven, and they just didn't really get a whole lot done. You throw down the auto turret. It's not the auto turret that it used to be, and it's not quite as fast as killing those drones.
Similar scout pattern out of Solar here.
Oh, he's going to try to fake the Banshee. Shows the reactor spinning, or not the reactor, the tech lab.
It's like absorbing energy particles into it.
That's the sound it makes.
It's researching.
Cancel
that cloak.
Yeah, he did cancel it. So same fake as we saw earlier. Love that Solar has gone for Overlord speed here. So he'll be getting a lot of information, including scouting out those couple of Hellions on the map, knowing that he'll need to defend against those. And, oh wow, did he actually lose that? Yeah, the first Viking did push out the Overlord before it got in and scouted the canceled cloak, but I mean, you see the Viking, you probably realize that cloak is fake.
Yeah. Also saw the 3rd CC as INnoVation didn't even delay that. He just threw it down right in front of the Overlord right before it died. He's like, here, I want you to know I'm making a CC. Not exactly sure why, but perhaps that was just the timing that he had set on his course.
Games. So he cancels it, throws down like 8 racks, and just all-ins him. Sickest mind games.
Next level builds from Bronze Heroes.
I don't even think it would work there. You just don't see that all that often. So behind us, we've got double evolution chambers, double engineering bays, lots of upgrades here in our futures. 3 bases up, solidified, and secured. Spore crawlers done just in time to prevent any sort of air harass. So thankfully, it's not Banshees. That would have been totally shut down. Just going to be this Raven. Perfectly positioned for it, too. Great defense here for Solar.
Showing that he actually saw the 3rd CC. I let you guys know about that a minute early.
You should be the observer here for SSL, Valdez. I guess you are kind of the observer. You do have our observer.
I'm the observer
PC.
For us,
yeah.
I guess. Not for the viewers, but for me. And if Rapid wants to look at upgrades.
Fine, Valdez. I'll look at upgrades. Well, 1-1 on the way for both players.
Yeah, not much happening just yet. I mean, it is Abyssal Reef. It is one of the most passive 2-player maps. This and Odyssey, definitely.
Well, if you rewind a few months from now, there were just nothing but early aggression, mass Reapers every game, TVZ. Now we get a chance to see a much different style. And I love the ebb and flow of the way this changes based on patches. And of course, keep in mind a very large patch will be coming up not too long. But here comes INnoVation out on the map. This should just be to clear up creep. Playing this very safely. +1/+1 combat shields. That timing comes here in a little bit. INnoVation poking out, picking off any little thing he can, setting up for a very strong, well-upgraded push.
Got a bunch of banelings in the mix. The speed isn't done yet. INnoVation, though, he's pressuring at this hatchery. It's getting lower. He's going to get rid of it, actually. Just cancels it, says, I'm not confident to take this, but here come the banelings hitting mostly Hellbats in the front.
Oh, beautiful auto turret there as well. That Reaper even good against the banelings to either bounce them back or just tank him up. Targeting down the banelings. They just can't get into range.
Craig has some levels of micro, and even the Raven gets out of there. Widowmine's not doing much, though.
Yeah, we didn't even see those factor really into the last push. I was pointing out that was kind of an anti-timing for INnoVation because he pushed in right before his upgrades were finishing, but he still got tons of value, cleared out all the creep, got an Overlord, and a cancel on the 4th.
Yeah, definitely very, very nice. And we'll be following this up with another drop towards the natural, it looks like. Could make a play into the main, but there are Overlords in position to scout something like that. Meanwhile, Solar is going for a transition of his own with the Infestation Pit on the way.
Double drops up top, single drop down bottom. This is the strategy for INnoVation. Always out on the map, extending his tendrils. Well, I feel like maybe that's more of a Zerg thing to do.
Yeah.
Widowmine's burrow. Marines come out. Marines run back to the Widowmines to keep them careful. And yeah, there's an Overseer to make sure they don't get too much damage.
Oh, the drones.
No, not the right time to main our 10, 11, 12 more drones dropping behind.
And even getting to work onto this hatchery will be cleaned up before that gets in danger, but taking out the saturation for the 4th base, not so bad.
Yeah, you look behind this, I'm not sure why everything is behind today. Maybe it's in front, I don't know. But a worker lead for INnoVation, and that's really just kind of telling the tale of this game. Lots of economic damage done by INnoVation as he has perfectly secured 3 bases.
Economic. I think that's what you were going for.
Got lots of economics going on, man.
Just making up words as we go.
Yeah, man, it's all about the economics, you know?
That's what the baby boomers did, am I right? Guys in the chat who love to talk about politics. Yes, I saw you guys, but here we go. The auto turret's coming down into the natural now.
Yeah, more economic damage. Economic damage being done. They're even going to snipe the Spore Crawler there, which could set up for a vulnerability. Now, behind this, the Baneling drops were perfectly scouted out. INnoVation just knows everything. He's going to push in at a great time as well. He needs to burrow the Widowmines. They will not. Okay, wow, yes, they will. That's a lot of dead Zerg.
A lot of dead Terran,
A lot of dead Terran there, too, yeah. Whoa, barely picks it off in time. Oh, my God. Yeah, the friendly fire there was a little bit rough to deal with. Great trade there by Solar. Great positioning in the back with that Spore Crawler. Oh, does take out the medevac. Only 2 Marines get dropped off.
Very key. It's now a single-pronged attack, I guess you could say. It's only coming in from one direction outside of this Raven that's still harassing. Whoa.
Okay, Observer.
Zooming around the map.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
r/zoomies can add our Observer to this one.
No way is that an actual subreddit. Maybe it is now.
It is.
Oh my God, I've never been there.
It's like little puppies that run around. They zoom. Oh my God. Just like the Observer.
He's definitely been spending too much time there. This 4th base just never being delayed, having the drones eliminated time and time again. Now this big bio ball being brought to bear. Going to be difficult to defend. Banelings rolling forward, but they are off creep. Can they find the connections they need? No, the counterattack even still hitting right before this planetary fortress finishes.
Just barely up in time. That was pretty crucial. Had some units back there. It's going to totally wipe out all the lings.
What is happening? Solar falling apart, it feels. It's going for Ultras, going for chitinous plating.
That hold, though, is very key. I mean, he pushes INnoVation back. The Baneling hits were... They were pretty good. I would give them like a 6 out of 10. They weren't amazing. They weren't just okay. They were like a little bit better than that. So
I feel like the fear of the Baneling hits, pushing INnoVation back is the true victory. But attacking a lot of Zerglings there, and does he have enough? 3 macroed up. Going to struggle to get this 4th base up and mining. You can see still barely mining. He's trying to take a 5th as well, but trying to do a little bit too much at once. Maybe INnoVation. This time, poking very carefully forward.
Look at the creep. It was pushed back so much. Only now is it just barely touching this Terran army. So INnoVation very comfortable coming in here. Here comes the first Ultra, only one. But you can see the spread of Widowmines that's back here. INnoVation just poking over and over, saying, come at me, bro. When are you going to come?
One of those Ultras actually way back in the back. Transfusion's keeping the hatchery alive, keeping the Ultras alive. But can they do that forever? More and more Ultras coming up. Kindness is done. Not full upgrades, but look at the Widowmines piling through. And even those Blinding Clouds, not enough to save that Ultra. A couple do fall, but hey, Solar's still alive.
He stays alive. That is the most important part of this. He keeps 3 Ultralisks alive as well. And so far, INnoVation hasn't had a real answer for the Ultralisk. It's only been Marine Marauder Medevac with those Widowmines. The Widowmines are okay, but you need a lot of them to deal with those Ultras. So now he's going to be adding in the Liberators with the Advanced Ballistics, and will continue to push once he has that available to him.
Wow, Solar just trying to eke out as little of an advantage, or as much as he can for his economy. 2 drones at a time being produced. And still having to commit so much to these attacking units, even just to defend. Needs to hold off this double drop coming up, but I mean, even if he holds here, like you were talking about, Valdez, advanced ballistics behind this, air weapons, 3 Liberators at a time. This is just going to be very difficult, increasingly so to deal with.
That drone was just a scout that was sacrificed because of the because of the creep, I suppose. Yeah. He didn't really know what was going on. Poor citizen drone being taken out.
Wow. INnoVation expanding behind this. Let's not get it twisted. Late game, Zerg is very powerful, especially if you can hit before these advanced ballistics or find a time to take out the Liberators. Look at this hard push from INnoVation.
The turrets, man, he's not messing around. And Advanced Ballistics about to finish up. Solar wants to go for a flank here. He wants to end this push right now.
Well, he doesn't have enough to deal with these Liberators. The only thing he has are Hydralisks. Does he even have a Spire? I don't know about that. Here we go, the attempted flank coming in. Nothing really to deal with those Liberators. He's going to yank one out of position, but still 2 sieged up, trying to run all the way through. Does take out a lot of INnoVation's ground force, but the stuff in the sky stays strong.
That was definitely the push that Solar needed. I mean, we're sitting at 15 Marines right now for INnoVation, and they are going to come over here and be very annoying, but Solar, don't get it twisted. Wow. He totally crushed that fight, coming from 2 locations, coming behind those Liberators before there were enough.
Yeah.
And it comes down to keeping the Ultras alive earlier. He had a big enough count with a lot of supporting units. He didn't overmake Ultras, and he totally crushed that fight.
Yeah, I think I kind of overestimated how good those Liberators were going to be. Zerg just ran through them, brute force style, and then came behind with Hydralisks and took out the Liberators that were sieged up there. Now, one surefire way to throw away this advantage is running into Liberators in a planetary fortress. So Solar has breathing room now. He is very low on workers, though, still sub 60 and trying to get up another base at the same time. So I think the correct call is to pull back and shore up your economy, get ready for this late game that's coming up. It's not going to pull totally back, and as that scan does reveal, still out there looking for an opportunity.
Yeah, a couple of scouting Marines and Marauders saw those units making their way over. The scan was right on point, so he knows the potential for a kind of counterattack towards that 3rd base. And yeah, I mean, you said it right. After taking out those units, he bought himself so much space. And now he's like, okay, what do I do now? Well, first step is making 23 Banelings. I'd say that's not a bad first step.
And that is a lot. I mean, banelings do not shoot up. There are now even more, now very ranged Liberators. No! Bad time to be a baneling. No. Okay, every baneling's gonna die. They're on hold position for some reason. And the Liberators will siege ever forward. Solar stopped in the back, stopped up front, and I don't know, Valdez, that was a pretty big gaff to have right before this army shoves in. Now, Solar has been able to bulldoze INnoVation. Big baneling hits there, and the Invincible Ultras running all the way through INnoVation's army.
Imagine if he had 23 extra banelings, how much better that fight would have gone. Just a little bit of pressure as he was going for that counterattack. He wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure now back on INnoVation. He lost yet another huge army. I mean, INnoVation's macro almost second to none, and he does have a great economy supporting this. But Solar has always been able to just push him all the way back. Behind this now, more bases coming up, great economy. The drone count's still kind of painfully low, only 55 here for Solar, but he just has enough when he needs it.
Yeah, I mean, his economy, as you're saying, it doesn't allow him to get this massive bank, but it does allow him to have a pretty gigantic standing army, bigger than INnoVation's army will be, who's at a surprising 69 SEVs on his side of the map. So
look at this ranged Liberator, just absolutely unfair. Nothing legal about that for this, as far as Zerglaw goes. I mean, granted, he does have the Vipers to pull them out of position to keep them from being all powerful. Okay.
Banelings will not be the answer.
Love the baneling response. How many banelings have died to Liberators this game? It's a high number, guys. It's out there.
It might be breaking some records already. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Well, Solar has shown that he does not want to commit to any corruptors to deal with the Liberators, and so far it's worked out. He's been able to just totally bulldoze through and kill it off, or kill the Liberators off with Hydras. But finally, we'll have to use it in a duck to pull it out of the way. And is there any anti-air there? Yeah, finally the Hydras come up and take it out. But lots of drones falling. Now he's only on 50.
And he's making only lings here. It's not like he can go for some gigantic swell of banelings. I mean, I guess he can do only that, and then he won't have much else because his bank is getting severely low. He's actually trying to make some Hydras instead, as he only has 10 currently, and as you mentioned before, not using the Corruptor, so he needs Hydras to deal with the Liberators once he pulls them in with his Vipers.
I mean, how long can you stay on Lingbane Hydra? I mean, there are Ultras here and some Vipers up above, but I just see so many Zergs commit to the air. All right, man, these Liberators are just so devastating. Wow, INnoVation has been pushed back twice. He's coming back at it again. His army count is now back up to max. Insanely tenacious, lots of macro behind it, but this time it's Solar who will go for a counter instead of just trying to wipe out the army.
That's a really expensive blob of banelings. He's not even mining from that base, and these banelings are all off creep.
I mean, the connections aren't totally bad, but INnoVation will take everything out that's behind and now have to deal with, whoa, that's a lot of Ultras. Okay, I didn't know the count was getting quite that high.
And I'm not saying no, I'm saying there are 9 Ultras. So
I thought you just randomly learned German there.
Yeah, I know. It happens sometimes.
Look at those Liberation zones. Insanity, but there should be plenty of ducks here, taking out most of those Liberators. Several more still sieged, but look at the wraparound on this army. It's trying to hold strong on the high ground, but these Ultras just so well upgraded, pushing through everything.
Yeah, coming in onto this planetary, there's not enough Hydras left over. I think there's only 6 in the middle there. And the Marine Marauder Ball is strong. There's not much left. There's no banelings left to clean this up, and INnoVation is kiting for days off creep.
It does take forever to kill an Ultraless, but they will retreat for now. Man, INnoVation continuing to get pushed back. I think this is going to become a game of resources, Valdez, where it just becomes who can get the bases up. INnoVation harassing so consistently with these Liberators, even killing off the larvae and the eggs that are morphing there. But on the other side, Solar just denying bases over and over again.
He's running out of time, though. He doesn't have any bank. He doesn't have an economy. He's barely mining. He's got 29 drones, and it looks like they're all up at the base at the top. He's not even mining from his 4th base. That's over there towards the left.
We're in a 20-minute game, and it's 30 to 50 workers. Those are just low numbers at this point. But of course, 50+ mules for the Terran is going to give him a great economy. He has managed to secure a couple of bases, like you see right there. Solar unable to save his.
Yeah, takes that out, and INnoVation still respecting this army, saying, okay, I mean, I've got a kite against it at least. Ultras are pretty scary.
I mean, hey, Solar's getting out there. He's forcing lifts, taking out SCVs. Okay, not actually taking out any SCVs. I thought he would have gotten a few of those running around, but...
That Ultralisk is an assassin.
An assassin Ultralisk.
Assassin.
I love it. Well, this is a big deal for INnoVation. He's trying to get up another base. I think he's probably mined out basically everywhere. Yeah, that's his last mining base that you saw right there.
Base.
This is so crucial. I feel like even if Solar just all-ins to kill that base, it's almost worth it. It's the only place that INnoVation is getting resources, but Solar very low on income as well.
You can tell that Solar has a similar mindset. He's like, okay, I need to shut down this base. My economy is in tatters. I'm getting further and further behind. I can't deal with these Liberators. I mean, he made the Spire eventually, but he never made any Corruptors because he didn't have the economy to back it up. It was already too late. So, I mean, he's in a rough spot. Fortunately for Solar, I mean, I guess he buys some time because INnoVation also has identified that he needs to take this base, so he's just sitting there very defensively. So maybe he can put on some kind of miracle attack here.
Solar was down to single digits in minerals and gas there for a second, just using everything he has because he's just running out of steam. A strong army on the ground for now, but nothing to deal with these Liberators. The Hydra's all taken out. Solar will lose everything, and GG. INnoVation takes the long game number 1 against Solar.
Took a while, but he finally did it. That's the story of Abyssal Reef and of INnoVation's macro play on that map. And it won't stop there. We're going to be jumping into Ascension to Ire for game number 2. And man, that was close. I feel like Solar had a couple of moments where he totally crushed the army, and then for some reason he couldn't end the game.
Yeah, the resources really kicked in at a strange spot there. You saw Solar just bulldoze through INnoVation's army time and time again, but in the end, just unable to get those bases up that he needed. INnoVation, there's a couple of very key moments where he's able to take out the 5th base and limit mining with consistently just sending over one range Liberator over and over again to keep the drone count down, keep the income down, and that wins it in the end. Congratulations to INnoVation taking game number 1. There's more games to play, guys.
Yeah, and Solar could definitely come back. I think he may have recognized his mistake that the Spire was absolutely necessary once you go into advanced ballistics. You can't just rely on Vipers and Hydras alone. You need something else to fly around, to cover your bases, to make sure that you can actually mine, because he was way far ahead. We have the numbers in front of us. We can see the supply. I know he couldn't, but there were times where he was maxing out and INnoVation was at like 130 supply, and he still couldn't end the game.
Yeah, I think there's a very important verse from the Zerg Holy Book. Zerg does not win by Hydras and Vipers alone, but by every Corruptor that comes out of the mouth of the Spire. I think that's how it goes. But let's go ahead and get into our game number 2 here. Solar looking focused, but I mean, this is INnoVation. He is focused, he is ready, he's smelt blood in the water. Now Sharkivation going to run in and clean things up. Or is Solar come out on top and even serious?
Rising up and getting underneath your skin. Feel it turning to leather. Watch it.
Number 2 will begin with our Zerg player in the bottom right. It is Solar.
Purple colors, but sick yellow jersey. And of course, a lot of focus against this guy. Winning game number 1 in the blue is the Terran player. This is INnoVation. Gotta play more games of StarCraft, gotta kill more Zerg players. You see that sigh there from INnoVation. Just, I must kill again. To shreds, you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was the purpose for which I was created. I do not have control over what I do, but I just know that I must do it.
I know not love or compassion, only how to kill. And, I mean, he's done that very, very well, very consistently. Of course, like we mentioned earlier, just finished a rough series versus Dark where he got 0-3'd. I mean, that was an online tournament. I feel like offline results just really are so important. Once you step into that booth, I feel like that is truly where INnoVation starts to reign supreme. GSL versus the world champion, even so recently, and granted that was a TVT in the finals, but just another caliber of player. And Solar, he's kind of waffled back and forth. There was a while pre that Mass Reaper strategy where Solar's TVZ was very strong. Definitely took a dip there, as did most Zerg when that was a very popular style being executed by players who could do it well. But let's talk about this game that we have ahead of us, Valdez. Solar, pretty good at defending early on. INnoVation, though, just seemed indefatigable.
What?
Means tenacious. Means unable to be exhausted.
I'll take your word for it, but I won't repeat it.
That's your $10 word for the day.
Yeah, so Ascension Dire, definitely another one of these gigantic maps that I have expressed my distaste for in the past. Definitely does lend to some of these very long games that get into very sticky situations, but I like it in this case because I do want to actually see both of these guys get to the late game. And knowing INnoVation, I don't think he's got like some crazy push plan that's going to kill Solar. And Solar, if there is going to be one player that does it, I think it might be Solar, who goes for some crazy kind of all-in, like a Roach all-in, or some kind of like Lingbane Hydra timing, or something weird, like a Nidus. But ooh, we'll see.
I like the way you think, Valdez. We have seen some Niduses. I think we had one in Challenge a couple weeks ago. It takes a special player to pull that off. I think earlier on in Premiere a couple of weeks ago, yeah, exactly 2 weeks ago, we had Bjol go for this Nidus Swarm Host play that was just like the strangest thing I've ever seen. I think that was in Premiere. But yeah, there's a lot of cool, wacky things that you can do. I think for this series, though, Solar has chosen, and kind of rightfully so, to just play a straight-up game. Now, maybe a straight-up game with Corruptors is the next step to take, because it's certainly, you could feel the lack of those Liberators eventually. Just got tons of value. But standard start to this game, double Hellion opener, maybe the Cloaked Banshee, but probably not after the Viking.
Yeah, Viking comes out. The same build here for INnoVation. He knows it worked in game number 1. The Queens are out here this time for Solar, making sure that literally 0 damage gets done. He's going to scout in here at the Tech Lab, but it's funny because it does get canceled. And he sees the stim coming up. Yeah, I mean, it's like, why even fake it at this point?
It's like, okay, you get 2 Overlord kills, and you do like the slow clap. And I mean, the information is there, right, for the Zerg player. You know there's no Cloaked Banshees. You know there's a command center on the way. It's okay. Well, I get it.
I get it too.
Yeah, he does get it. Gets the scouting information. His Queens kind of making their fortune in the world, way out there, pushing back the well, really anything that would try to run through.
We'll see how much damage this Raven can get done. Solar definitely. His main response to that auto-turret harass was just basically pulling all the drones and not really having stuff in position, especially after he got up to 4th base. He had a lot of trouble dealing with a lot of the harassment that was used in the game throughout, whether it be Ravens or some kind of drops or the Liberators eventually.
Yeah, that one Liberator at the northern like 4th or 5th base just kept going in there. Really difficult to deal with. So. Well, here we go. It looks exactly the same as we've always seen for INnoVation. The The problem for me, if I'm Solar, is not how do I get my third base, but how do I defend my fourth base? That's what was really the linchpin. We saw that in our previous TVZ. It's really difficult to hold it, to keep it up. For Solar though here, a very adaptable player, not a player you can really count out just because you figure out a way to beat him in one game. Next game, new map, new mindset. See how he adapts.
Well, he does have this Hydra den pretty early on, and he's already up to 70 drones, so why not make some attacking units at this point? He hasn't skimped on the droning at all. He actually got a good read on INnoVation's desperately passive style in this matchup so far.
So a lot of times when you play against Zerg players, especially as Terran, you need to get some damage done early, or at least harass them, force out attacking units so they don't just get infinity drones. Solar has gotten up to a high base count, a high drone count, but now he has to defend against the push that is designed to either punish this style or force out these attacking units from INnoVation.
Here we go, Hellbat's coming up, leading the charge. Lots of Banelings left over. And INnoVation is going deep onto the creep. Solar buying a lot of time here after the auto turrets do come down. He's waiting until that moment to strike, and here he comes, going for the wraparound.
Right before this +1/+1 finishes, Solar will swoop in and sweep INnoVation back. That could have been very dangerous had the upgrades been completed in time. Instead, they were not, and INnoVation is pushed back.
Definitely looking very different compared to game number one. Solar had 70 drones and defended that push with flying colors. Yeah. I think we'll be seeing a very different game, especially heading into the mid-game here, unless INnoVation can find some nice follow-up damage with some drops.
Yeah, both players very Spartan on their resources, cramming out as many units as possible. INnoVation not attacking, but just now going in for creep clearing duty. Going to take out a sizable number of those tumors, but won't be able to get a whole lot more damage. And that Raven being pushed back, and like you said, Valdez, a very different game ahead of us here. Solar, high drone, high base, good defense, and really just airtight so far. This could get the damage done though. Double medevac in the main, Solar's forces way out on the map.
He's going to have some time here to snipe out an Overlord, go for potentially a Queen, but the Ling's very fast on the creep, will swing into the main.
Oh, Hydra's perfect position, Solar. So good, way on top of everything INnoVation's throwing his way.
Yeah, I mean, he looking actually a bit angry after his loss in game one. Perhaps he knew he let it slip away from him, so he's really crossing his T's, dotting his I's, if you will. He's on top of everything. Very clean play so far this game.
Those medevacs, I mean, maybe there's no knowing where they're going, but there's certainly no stopping to the dropping.
There you go.
I'm just practicing for my inevitable future as an Oompa Loompa. I feel like I got my rhyme game on point for that. Now, here we go. I don't know if you want to call this the Doom drop, but I'm not sure if this is necessarily the area. There's Banelings, pre-split, in position. Hydra's ready to drop this. Now, the Widow Mines being dropped. Will he be taken out? Both Widow Mines burrow and take out a lot of Zerg on the way out.
Interesting trade at the end of it all. I mean, he gets out and kills a bunch of Lings, but not too much else. So Solar should be okay that he did get some nice damage done there. Kind of a retarget on those two Widow Mines, not doing much follow-up damage as well. And take a look at Solar. He's defending everything very easily. He has an Ultralisk Den already on the way, and INnoVation hasn't really done much in this game.
Feels like he's tried a lot, but these consistent drops being consistently equally pushed back. Wow, Solar really on top of everything. This looks like the game Solar was trying to play in game one, but INnoVation just that little bit ahead of him, stopping the third base or stopping the fourth base consistently. Great drop harass, great Liberator harass, and this is Solar a little bit ahead of schedule. He's going to beat INnoVation, it feels like, to this +3. Chitinous plating on the way, Hive already done, and still no Corruptors, so maybe that's still going to come to play, but equally on the same side, no Liberators. On the other side, no Liberators for INnoVation, so just straight up doing it on the ground. Solar in a great spot.
Yeah, that is one way to do it.
Not in the air, on the ground.
Yeah. Doing it on the ground. We got a big counterattack along the south side. Looking for that fourth base is Solar. He's got a bit of time. INnoVation, though, very bravely moving way out onto the creep. Sees the planetary, he's like, nah. Maybe he's going to morph some banelings. Looks like he is.
Ooh. All right, INnoVation. I love how he's not just loading up into dropships and continually trying that. Tried it, it worked to some extent, but now it's time to pull back. Bring these Widow Mines to bear and once again deny a fifth base from Solar. This mission will be successful. INnoVation finding purchase deep out on the map, but here we go. Lots of Zerglings, lots of banelings, lots of death. Solar's counterattack finds a large amount of damage. Yeah, bigly damaging.
He made the perfect amount of banelings to stop the repairing SCVs, but he's got a big attack on his doorstep. Will Solar be able to hold this off? For now, he's looking good. If he can, he's going up against just a 3-base Terran for now, who's remaking that 4th CC. Here he comes.
Feels like almost no Zerg player as good at the bulldozer as Solar is. Able to shove INnoVation back over and over again in game 1, but now things are a little bit more difficult.
You can see that Hydra count that's usually, very squishy has stayed alive for a very long time at around 24 Hydras, and they have that tanky front line now. They're doing insane amounts of DPS on the backside, sniping these Widow Mines, sniping some units in the front. It's going to come from 2 angles once again.
That's right, Valdez trying to wrap around. Both angles now coalescing, pushing INnoVation back, trying to kite, trying to stim away, but Solar running INnoVation over again.
Boy, that Ultra staying alive, just adding insult to injury right now. INnoVation really hurting for his economy. He's going to land some of these mules, but Solar, I don't think he's going to let this one slip away from him this time around. He's got his own upgrades kick in, and he's going to be looking for an attack here.
Now, +3/+3 did just finish for INnoVation's bio. It's a really good sign. Liberators as well. Okay, now gotta watch out for these Widow Mines. Not the greatest connections there up front. Liberators finally coming to bear, but it's just in time for Vipers.
Good snipe on one of the Vipers, and a couple of the others will take out the 2 Liberators in the sky, continuously kiting back. There's no creep here. The banelings hitting mostly Marauders in the front, but still, Solar with crazy amounts of units continuing to push on this attack.
God Micro from INnoVation does keep his paltry force alive, but the biggest thing behind this is protecting these mining bases. INnoVation's economy in shreds and tatters, but now finally getting up to where he needs it to be. But, okay. I was hyping it up.
Go.
Wow. Yeah, INnoVation got his economy right back up, got his army right back down. Well, INnoVation was the one to lose game number 2. Solar evens up the series.
Yeah. We'll have to see if right after getting knocked down, can he get back up again? And if anyone can ever keep him down. INnoVation, I mean, we were saying in the mid-game, this is going to look like a totally different game, and that it did. Solar sustained basically 0 damage and eventually rolled over him. He was given all the time in the world to get up to 70 drones in like 7 minutes? It was something ridiculous like that.
More than that, just the number of bases. They're crammed against the walls on that map, so they're as far away as possible. Great defense by Solar. Every single drop. You saw INnoVation even try like a 5 medevac Doom drop there at the end, and even that was not enough to break into Solar's base. So really great defense, even better offense. This when the Zerg has that much economy and he just pulls back, it's like he's loading a slingshot and then just fires it at INnoVation and over again. Even in game 1 that he lost, Solar was able to just bulldoze him over. Wow, just great play here from Solar, evening up the series. And now this is where we find out who will take this series, and especially for INnoVation, a very important series to win.
It all comes down to this. INnoVation, he's going to need this win. Solar wanting the win to just stay in Premier. His hopes of playoffs are a bit out of reach, but he can also deny INnoVation those playoffs. The guy who crushed him in the Season 1 finals. Let's see who takes the victory in game number 3. go into the final game of the night, Game 3 of this TVZ. Up in the top left, it is Solar.
And his opponent on the bottom right in the blue is INnoVation. And what a final game of the night it is, Valdez. Just shaping up to be so epic. A repeat of the previous finals. Two of the best players that we've seen in recent history. Solar maybe struggling a little bit lately, but get a couple of stats to throw at you. You ready?
Let me get my catcher's mitt.
All right, you got it?
Okay, I got it.
Here we go. Out of the last 18 ZVTs Solar has played, he's won 15 of them. That's an insane number, right? Now, let me counter that. Out of the last 15 TVZs that INnoVation's played, he's won 13 of them. So both of these guys have legendary stats. Now, I cherry-picked those hard to make them seem super epic.
Okay.
Because a lot of them are versus lesser players. A lot of them are in online tournaments. A lot of them are best of ones. So there's some filtering to be done there. But
still hard to stay that consistent, you know?
Right.
Those numbers that you're talking about are like 85% win ratios, basically.
Yeah. So like I said, I made it look really good. But the big thing to count is their record against each other. You saw INnoVation historically very strong in Legacy of the Void against Solar, 17-7. But last 3 times they played, INnoVation was able to just bob them out. So very important to keep in mind that those do matter for maybe context, but the only thing that matters for this series is one final game on Odyssey.
And what will be the play on Odyssey? If you go ahead and look at the maps, well, I'll do it for you. INnoVation, he chose Abyssal Reef as his first choice. He got it in Game 1 and crushed. In Games number 2 and 3, those are both Solar's choices. He got Ascension to Ire and Odyssey, whereas INnoVation picked Frost and Whirlwind after, but neither of them got into the pool just out of the luck of the draw at the end of it. So this will be another one of these maps, very much like Ascension to Ire, where Solar's got so much room. This map might even be bigger than the former map, the map that we played in game number 2. So I feel like INnoVation has to mix it up. I don't want to see the same, 4 Hellions slowly coming out with the Polt Viking to clean up the 2 Overlords into a Raven and doing like a tiny little bit of damage. I want to see something a little bit more aggressive. You have to stop this Zerg train that Solar is conducting right now.
Yeah, he's really been running it on INnoVation. Game 2, a classic example. That Reaper control, I think this signals INnoVation. Bears awaking from his slumber. His hibernation's ending. INnoVation, termination, imminent, or at least he's trying for it. He's microing this Reaper insanely. Look at
what?
Oh my God! I'm telling you, he's bringing the forward cannons to bear. Full broadside here. He scouted out the third base, knows that timing. What is the build to follow it up? Same reactor on the factory. Nothing strange there. But is this finally the game where we see those Cloak Banshees come out? Maybe.
Well, he
That's
is
my
making
verdict.
a Banshee. Never mind.
No, it's not.
He changed it right at the last second.
Watch him maybe cancel this Viking and go into Banshee after he kills that Overlord. That would be the truest mind games. Probably not going to.
Yeah.
Just going to be a Viking. This is like perma mind game mode from INnoVation, trying to get that trickery done. He kills it and commits to the Viking. Okay, all right. Should cancel that Cloak any second.
Keeping Cloak. We'll see if he follows up with a Banshee this time instead of a Raven. The Hellions just running on in. Where's the defense?
There's no units there. Oh.
Where is everything? Running in a straight line now towards the Hellions. Oh no!
I don't know. Hold on to your butts. This is going to be a rough ride. As the drones dropping one by one. There's just no units there. 10 drones die. Maybe more.
Oh man, that was gigantic.
Look at the Cloak.
He's following it up with Cloak Banshees. I mean, we were expecting a big backer game. We weren't expecting 4 Hellions to kill 10 drones. This is like the Maru versus Stats game where he gets in there and just wrecks the economy. It's not to that level of extremeness, but
Extremonicitude.
yeah.
There you go.
But still a big blow to Solar's economy.
Yes, for Solar, you got to scratch your head here. this double Hellion open is almost the most common TVZ opener out there right now. Especially here on Odyssey, you have to know that timing, and he just kind of drops the ball, had no units there. A lot of times you see Zerg hesitate to transfer drones to the third base, waiting for that timing to hit. Solar had them there ahead of time, and the Hellions just run in and mow down everything. And here's the follow-up. This Cloak already done. This first Banshee heading out on the map.
He only made one, and he's going to be happy that he only did make one because there are 3 spores, 1 at each base. Solar is ready for this. He was playing it very safe. He wanted to get into that late game position again, but unfortunately, due to the Hellion massacre of 2017, he's going to have to rethink his position here.
Actually could maybe micro kill that queen unless it retreated to the spore, but with the Overseer out, yeah, this is a fruitless venture.
We got some... It's interesting that we can still hear the lings. I guess they're at the bottom of that screen.
Yeah, they're killing the destructible rocks, so I was like, where on earth are they attacking? Oh, wow. How did we get ahead of that? I'm guessing the Banshee just stopped that on the map, but some great creep spread being kind of curated out on the outer fringes of these 3 bases. Now, 3 bases, okay, you can keep that up, but the 4th base is really going to tell the tale of this game for me. INnoVation did get economic damage done, but how does he turn that into a bigger lead? This 4th base is going to be a big deal. See if INnoVation can stop it from coming up.
Well, he's got the timing down. He knows that 4th base will be at the gold. And here comes a link to scout. Will it run into it?
Sees the drop. Gets on by.
He's like, I'm out of here. You guys deal with the drop. I'm not going near that.
It's like, did I drop Changeling, Medivacs, and Marines there earlier and forget about it? No. So this is where Solar needs to hold. He took that economic disadvantage earlier, but if he can hold here, all is forgiven. Gold bases just atone for a multitude of worker losses.
You got Burrow on the way with the Infestation Pit. I think he's going to try for some big fungals here.
I love it. Get your perma-root fungals while you can, boys. It's going to change eventually for the better or worse. We don't know yet, but haven't seen infestors at all today. Really got to watch out. Could catch INnoVation by surprise. If it does, maybe that's all the advantage Solar needs.
We got Hellbat morphing here. It looks like he really wants to make a play behind the minerals. This is why it's sometimes dangerous to take a gold, but pushing forward are the speed baits.
Whoa, watch out for those Widow Mines too. Any crazy connections could really seal the deal here. Widow Mine almost taken out, but continuing to be just what could be critical losses.
Delaying so much of this mining at this base. He's not even being that aggressive. It's just one Widow Mine here, one Widow Mine there, a Viking to help out against air units, the slow push onto the top. He's never going to push forward and challenge the Banelings. He'll just poke away at this hatchery and say, once again, come at me, bro.
I think INnoVation might be able to do this. Biding time, using those transfuses. Solar gives it up.
Takes base number 5, which will now become number 4 at that location. So a very successful push out of INnoVation, and you know his macro isn't slipping. It never will. Where are the 2-2 upgrades for Solar? They're non-existent.
Oh,
no! Oh, no. Big hit from that Widow Mine. I'm trying to click it. It has 16 kills.
Things might start to get out of control here in just a little bit. We saw those Burrow Infestors be maybe the lifeblood. Moving forward, a money fungal. Those are exactly the connections he needs, but there might still just not be enough behind it.
We need another one, and it's got to be a miracle. The Banelings, though, pushing forward.
Whoa, okay. Those are the connections.
Oh, what's happening here? We got a run by at the 3rd.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Solar hit the one fungal he needed, had perfect Baneling connections. Solar, this bulldozer move he does, catching INnoVation off guard every time.
Solar is one of the scrappiest players we have in StarCraft. Even when behind, he will never give up. And sometimes he makes a case for himself, even in dire straits in this game, to say, hey, maybe I actually can win this game.
Wow, Solar really just using every trick in the Zerg toolbox. Where you keep your tricks, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The toolbox.
Also, Zergs have like the pinchers, but not opposable thumbs, so I'm not sure if they can even use tools. They're like an ancient Zerg civilization. I don't know how that works, but he's going to be going in for Baneling drops here too. Oh, are those burrowed?
Yeah.
How did those even get in there? Okay. Well, so he's got a lot going behind this, but INnoVation in front, out front, trying to get in here. Ultras, though, are being brought to bear. It's a big one up in the front, tanking a lot of damage. Look at all those transfuses, but eventually they will run out.
Running off the creep here is INnoVation. Positioning is solid for now. Constantly getting those splits. The Baneling's getting some good hits in the front, but here's the follow-up.
Oh my god, how does he do it every time? The perfect Baneling connections way deep into the Marine forces, but just the army count dropping lower and lower. Only 40 army supply here for Solar. Will it be enough? No, the Ultralisk dropping nothing on the crowd here. Solar losing his third base.
The machine will win again in a 2-1 victory that ends on Odyssey. Starts off with some good damage with the Hellions, and a follow-up push at the gold seals the deal for this player and keeps his playoff hopes alive.
Ishin Hong over and over again does it. A mini repeat of our finals. INnoVation won it 4-1 there. Tonight he wins it 2-1. A very close, very scrappy game, and you really got a chance to see just the maximum, the full potential of both players this series.
That was a really good one. I mean, that was why we actually made a hype video for just this best of 3, because it really was hype. Part of me wishes, you know, as a StarCraft fan, to just say, like, I wish we could replay that game without the 10 drone losses early with the Hellions, and then go into that big macro game and see actually if INnoVation would have had an answer to Solar's late game. But it is the way it is. Yeah. That sometimes happens in StarCraft. We get some crazy moments like that where it comes down to the wire, and INnoVation gets a huge lead just from 4 Hellions.
I mean, if you wonder why Double Hellion is the opener for TVZ, I mean, that's why. Maybe it doesn't work 10 times, but that 11th time, maybe it's in a match where you just really need it to INnoVation getting that little boost, and sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, it's such a safe build too, right? It's like either you get a ton of damage or you like do a tiny bit of damage, but you also force some lings, you defend against any kind of crazy all-in, which usually doesn't happen in pro play, but it's still there. And when you're going into a big macro game, you can delay those infantry upgrades unless you really wanted to hit like this big timing, which we never really saw out of INnoVation. So liking the build. Makes sense that the best Terran player, or one of the best Terran players, is doing it pretty consistently.
It was a win that INnoVation needed. It keeps him in contention for that 4th playoff spot. We do have playoffs coming up, guys. There's only one more week of SSL Premier in the books, but let's take a look at the way the games went today. It's a good day to be on the left-hand side. Viol taking out Alive for his first win of SSL Premier. Classic taking out Hero 2-0 after Hero tried some extra economic strategies. Yeah. Match 3 was super sick. Maru with a 2-1 over stats, but Deer over Dark. Wow, what a dominant showing by Deer, and equally so INnoVation over Solar. What a treat to have that be our final series of the night.
Yeah. Don't forget, you know, you mentioned it, Rapid, but keep your eye out for Deer. I mean, destroying Dark and making him look that much less of a player than you in just a best-of-3 series is really hard to do. And if he's that good in that matchup, I can't wait to see in the future when he gets to play it some more. So here are our standings. As I was saying before, 3 Protoss is up at the top at 6-2. Stats, Classic, Deer. INnoVation with the win. Will tie Dark there with just one better game score, so he will take the 4th place. Then Maru will be nestled in there at 6th place.
Yeah, very key victory, like I said, for INnoVation. That 4th and 5th place race is going to be the biggest part of watching our final week of SSL Premier coming up next week. And of course, the top 3, anything can happen. Those 3 spots can change in the blink of an eye. Our top 3 Protosses and SSL Premier, we duking it out. And of course, next week is going to be our final week. Wolf will be back for that, and that is where everything is decided.
Yeah, it's going to be an extremely exciting day. Cannot wait for next Monday. Definitely be tuning in for that. Guys, we do have 2 days of challenge, though, this week. On Thursday, we will have Bunny versus Impact, Jockey versus Beyond, and then Sue versus Rogue. And then, of course, on Saturday at our normal time at 10. Keep in mind that Thursday is at 7. At 10 here on Saturday will be Beyond versus Impact, Sue versus Jockey, Rogue versus Bunny. And also, it looks like we have a live audience for Thursday.
I was going to mention that because I think that is a recent change. So, yeah, just want to make sure that you guys know that on Thursday at 7 p.m. you can come down to the Nexon Arena to watch this SSL Challenge, and it's free. So if you get the chance to visit Seoul, South Korea in time for next Thursday, you can come and watch then. Here's a look at our Premier matches for our final week of SSL Premier. Alive versus Maru, Hero versus Deer, Stats versus Bjol, Dark versus Solar, and INnoVation versus Classic.
Oh,
what
so
a
good.
way.
That last game, man.
Good, man.
We saved the best for last. Dark also needs that win against Solar, and that's the rematch of 2016 where Solar took him out in Game 7.
Good.
It's such an important match for Dark, whereas Solar is basically just fighting for his hopes to stay in Premier for next season. And then, of course, INnoVation versus Classic, the biggest one at the end. Two of those guys up towards the top.
Yeah.
It's going to be a sick day.
Well, also Classic, one of those 3 Protoss that need every win they can get just to make sure that they're in the best spot for the playoffs possible. Wow, just what a way to finish things off. I'm just so happy with this season of Premier. It feels like lots of storylines. I mean, maybe you do have to sacrifice a player like Bjol or Alive there towards the bottom, but either way, as things kind of wash out, it sets up for even maybe better seasons yet to come. So it's been a great day of SSL. It's good to be joining you again here, Brendan.
I know. We've been doing a lot of casting recently. It's been a lot of fun. We have Thursday and Saturday coming up as well.
True.
We get to do a challenge broadcast in front of a live studio audience, which will be something different, something new, something we haven't done before. So that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, bring the challenge casters on stage as well. Our Korean casters are super popular for that. So, you know how you hear cheers in the audience for players? We actually had fans in the audience cheering for casters then, too. So, thanks to everybody for watching SSL Premier tonight. We'll see you back here on Thursday for a live studio broadcast of SSL Challenge. Have a good night.